as state legislators return to the Capitol today, you've got a big question of what exactly is the budget going to look like, and other big questions about, well, big ticket items like pensions. That's one thing I got to follow up on. Where are we at with the changes for Tier 2 that they've been discussing for a while? I'll have to get to the latest on that because that's a big ticket item. You've got other big ticket items like the transit cliff. $700+ million expected of a financial cliff for 2026. What's going to happen with the RTA and the CTA and Metra and PACE? All of this while you've got concerns of bloated contracts because of internal errors with the toll authority. So we'll talk about that as well. But you've also got the non-citizen healthcare subsidies. Is that going to be cut as the governor proposed, or are the advocates for non-citizens getting health subsidies, are their voices going to be loud enough to spur on some tax increases to pay for that? Obviously, all these things coming to a head here soon. But another big thing that was talked about recently, higher education funding. Now, some background. Back in 2017, during the Rauner administration, I remember covering this, there was a big agreement about how there needed to be a change to the K through 12 school funding formula to make it a, quote, evidence-based funding formula. And it would be $350 million extra each year added to K through 12 spending. $350 million each year added to K through 12 spending. And the money would be set with a funding formula to give it to disproportionately impacted areas, or areas that need to get up to an adequacy level that the state determines. So that's through K through 12 funding. Since then, I mean, gosh, what, $350 million for the past 8 years? I mean, that adds up. That's several billions of dollars that have been added to K through 12. Well, there's a push now to have a similar type of funding model for the state's higher education institutions. And this obviously is something that is still in the conversation phase, but we've got 2 weeks here. Is it possibly going to pop and actually come across the finish line? It's something that, I've seen happen with other controversial measures, other big ticket items. So the funding proposal for changing how higher ed is funded, it is getting some pushback. So here's the story at thecentersquare.com. Funding proposal for higher ed meeting opposition. It is Senate Bill 13 from State Senator Kimberly Lightford. She was recently at a Senate Executive Committee talking about this measure and what it would do, and how they had a committee come together to investigate higher ed funding and what possible avenues there are to address that.
One that is based on understanding what each university needs to fulfill its unique mission and students' population, how far they each are from having the resources they need, and then laying out a multi-year plan to get all institutions to full funding, ensuring that new dollars go more aggressively to the universities that are furthest from adequacy. We did this exactly the same with evidence-based funding for K through 12. Last spring, the commission published its report outlining the structure for an adequate, sustainable funding system. The report garnered national attention, but we knew we had more work to do. Rep. Ammons and I brought together all interested stakeholders, including every university, asked each to flag issues that merited further discussion or
So Lightford, discussed further about the process. They came together to have Senate Bill 13, which would add about $2 billion in new funding over the next decade to higher education, but it would do it in a way that this commission feels is more, equitable or so. Nick Jones, Vice President of Academic Affairs for the University of Illinois System, said that a tiered, mission-aligned approach to funding would be more ideal. He said that this approach would ensure that funding supports student outcomes, holds institutions accountable for results, and drives true equitable distribution of the state's investments in higher education. So there's some pushback there from the University of Illinois System. State Representative C.D. Davidsmeyer, he recently said during an unrelated news conference that he doesn't buy that more money is going to fix the problems with higher education.
And I will say, We've been putting more and more and more and more money into K through 12 education, and we're getting worse and worse and worse outcomes. I think by the government stuffing more money into higher education right now, I think we're encouraging costs to go up. And until we make higher education, college education, affordable for students throughout the state of Illinois, we shouldn't be giving them any more money. We have to figure out how to get that tuition down and how to get Illinois students into Illinois schools. And so the reality is between K through 12 and higher education, you're looking at $500 billion extra a year in growth. So you're looking at $500 million just on the education side. I look at education as an investment, and I think we all do, but we have to make sure that we're getting the outcomes that we're paying for, and right now I don't think we are.
So again, it goes to the question of, are the tax dollars that are being freed up for these organizations actually resulting in benefit for the taxpayer, benefit for the economy, benefit for the students? All again, big ticket items here we're talking about, right? Another big ticket item is obviously transit. We touched on that briefly, that they face a $770 million fiscal cliff, and you've got some that are wanting to consolidate these transit agencies before the state's taxpayers bail out the transit agencies. Push back against that idea, saying that some of the suburban areas might not have as large of a voice as they have now with their own individual transit agencies. The measure, it's still being talked about, has yet to advance, but are they going to be able to bring about reforms for the transit agencies while also letting up, giving some hundreds of millions of dollars to these organizations of your tax dollars out of the state budget? But then you get into the likes of the toll authority, the tollway authority. And recently the Daily Herald reported on a contract that some internal errors came to light. Here is State Representative Tom Weber on the House floor Friday last week talking about this particular story and how frustrated he is that there really isn't many clear answers from the Illinois Tollway Authority.
So I'd like to make the chamber aware, today I was all geared up to do a speech, which you've probably heard me do before, on property tax in the state of Illinois, where we have 27 of our counties that are in the top 50 of the nation in highest property taxes. And property taxes per household being led by Lake County, Illinois, with an average per house $10,370 per household in property taxes. However, I opened up and read an article in the Daily Herald in regards to the I-290, 88, 294 interchange, which many of us drive through on the way down here to Springfield. So if you're unaware that the Tollway Authority awarded the contract for $323.9 million to a contractor. After they began work, they realized that they awarded it to the wrong contractor. They told them that it pulled them off the job. They were awarded in court $15 million work performed and $10 million in damages. The new contractor came in who, because of our 4% Illinois preference law, that was the mistake that was made, came in at $327 million, a $3.1 million higher bid, but with the 4%, they should have been originally the initial winner of the bid. On top of that, because we want to keep the same July 2027 deadline, they were also given $16.5 million for overtime. When you add this mistake of awarding the wrong contractor the contract, pulling them off and putting someone else in, the total adds up to $44.6 million more than the initial contract. So I don't know about you, but $44.6 million more than the initial contract is something that everyone in this chamber should be aware of. That is on the back of taxpayers. And I would hope that the Tollway Authority or the director or someone, I would invite them to please come to Transportation Committee and explain exactly how taxpayers just got a bill for $44.6 million more than the initial contract.
It's, again, State Representative Tom Weber raising issue about that. And if you go and check out thecentersquare.com, you'll see the statements provided by the Illinois State's Toll Highway Authority, and they said that the work performed by the initial contractor included about $15 million for construction already performed, which the agency would have been required to pay even if the contract had been retained. The total amount of additional costs paid by the tollway regarding this contract amounts to nearly $27 million. Again, dollars and cents. Every penny counts. When you're putting your budget together, every penny counts. All right, we'll be on the ground watching all of this unfold. We got a couple of weeks left before the end of session. May 31st is that deadline. Could they get the budget done before then? They're going to work out all these problems with the Tollway Authority? I don't know, but stay tuned. It's Illinois in Focus Daily right here with the Center Square.